the new generation, they start to come in and they try to change completely the business. The Z generation, they will 97%, they will strongly buy a product if they recognize brand really value of sustainability with 200 people employed with a turnover of 500 million euro. That I did it by doing not pricing or change product, by digitalization and sustainability in my business model.
The system that you have now built, it gives businesses a rating across the key sustainability areas. How does this work?
If you see these big words, on the end of the day, is a small action easily that you can act in your company. It's important to measure it, but it's matter also training every day to find easy solution achievable to everybody.
Francesco, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you, David?
I'm very good. How are you?
Fine, very well. I'm very happy to meet you, by the way.
Yes, and you too. I've been looking forward to this discussion. We're going to be talking, well, we're going to cover a lot of areas, but I think a theme that's going to run throughout this conversation is the theme of sustainability.
All right.
You've built a very successful business with Orthos. You're now also launching a new consultancy, which is very, very exciting. Before we go into that, just take us back. What's the story behind your personal commitment to sustainability?
Yes, that is a good question, and it's a question that I would like to underline the word success. Success. Usually, right now, when an entrepreneur is so usually like a good person, they make a good deal, buying, selling something to make profit, or somebody's make it, create the production something successful, marketing, make profit. The question is if this profit is keeping go ahead in the time. You know, together with you have a good deal, the strong profit, you need today an entrepreneur, David, to have new skills. Accept the vision, the capability to react in the market very quickly, because the market is so changed faster than it was before, that they need you in order not suffer the market to lead, to be very quickly to adapt to the new technology and above all, with a human being different. You know, the technology, you know, they pass very quickly. If you are taking consideration that before they would take 10 years to discover something. In 1950 until 2000, they would discover the mobile phone. 10 years it took to do this. Now, in 2020, 2024, it took just a couple of years to make Facebook, TikTok. And now the question is with the AI, how long time take to make innovation? A couple of months. So that is very important to have the capability, to have competence, above all, to see where the market is going innovation and to go ahead. And that's the same things happen, David, on the human being. You know, through the new technology, through the changing of the world, they change the attitude of the customers. And this changing is across all the generation. Today, the old generation, 70 years old, is completely strong, close to the new generation, 70 years old. The question is, they are able to talk the same language, how we interpret the same needs. So that's why it's very important that everybody, the entrepreneurs, make these skills. In my company, I did it this way. They take in consideration that there was a guy that was managing international company. I traveled a lot across Europe, across the world. And in the middle time, after the big manager, I decided to be entrepreneur. That is a very important issue for a manager entrepreneur. I saw in my company that I took over in 2014, a very way to approach old in the new market that was not possible to survive. So I implemented a new technology, digitalization, and implemented sustainability. That sustainability is a word, David, and then we can see after all is very overused as term, but very under-implemented everywhere. So there is way to do it in a certain way. So the success of my company means it takes thanks these two important issues, innovation, a new way to approach the human being.
It sounds like there was a very clear moment in your history with your business where you made the decision to you embarked on the digitalization path. but you also wanted to bring in the sustainability into the business model. Was there something that happened that really made your mind up on that?
Yeah, the funny thing is that you were right, David, it happened in my company when I saw that was, I have an automotive industry company. I have a company distributes car and retail selling car. When I saw the market is usually this sector is very old. There is not very good new approach on the new offer. It is completely changed. So I decided to digitize all the car market, all the company in terms of engagement, in terms of assessment, in terms of backend, everything. David, thanks this 2014, 2018, I make this completely change. On the certain times happened the pandemic moment in 2020, 2021. The pandemic moment was a moment that was not a crisis of people to buy, economical crisis. What blocked physical movement? That was the important things, and thanks to the digitalization that I did the years before, they let me to continuously to make profit, to sell car to the customer, because I was able to respond on the virtual demand strong, the virtual offer strong on the car automotive. So I was selling car all over Italy, very simple, just send the car, digital ways, and I will send the car to the customer. So that it happened that they can let me survive without to ask loans to the bank and to create more debit and more debit and more debit. So the question is that it was not something obliged by law that I should change the digitalization, but something because I saw the market different 4 years before, and I act to try to adapt the company or this new market was completely virtual, a digital way. And the same things start to happen for the sustainability. The sustainability is exactly the way that the customer now showing us, the future customer, let's say the future customer. Like I was telling before, the new generation, the generation Z generation, everybody are talking about, is the actual person, 14, 15 years, that in 2013 will be the population that will buy my product, that will buy my service, or will elect a political guy. And the question is, this person, how will they select my product or select my service? Which is the shopping mind, the skills, accept the price, the brand, or the advertising they're doing, they will let us select my product instead of the other. That is completely to be able to be with a word sustainability.
You mentioned that you were in an industry that was perhaps a bit maybe behind the times in terms of digitalization, and things were done the same way. Still today, I'm sure you see it every day. There's still industries and businesses that have not done that digitalization.
It's zero.
It's everywhere, right? It's still you look at companies' websites and it's like, wow, this was designed 10 years ago.
20 even.
20 even.
Don't say medieval, but it's okay.
Why does that happen? Because these businesses are being run by people who can see the world around them. They can see that things are moving on. Why do you think people get stuck and don't make those changes?
Because they don't see. This is a good, very clever question, David. Because there is the double generation. There is the old generation that are driving the car business like 20 or 30 years ago. The new generation, they start to come in and they try to change completely the business, David, because it's not just making advertising on the social. It's completely changed mindset as approach. And unfortunately, there is no competence or there is not courage to change the actual mindset or the new mindset and to be able to be in the market differently. That is something that is create a lot of problems, not only in the automotive industry. Generally speaking, when there is a change of generation, before it was quite physical, no? Make the same things with my father, I'm going ahead. Now it's completely changed the skills that I was telling before of management. I will give you an example, more practical. Radio, no? Radio is the media radio. It took 38 years to achieve 55 million users. Facebook, it took a couple of years to take 55 million users. ChatGPT, it takes a couple of weeks to take 50,000 users. So if you take these quickly users that are people that are talking to you or they are trying to see you, and you are not able with competence to engage these people, you are completely out of the market as a decision. If you are not move on new technology, you are not invest, quindi not cost, invest in new activity, new competence, your risk is, if you are a very healthy company, in the long terms, risk you will be out of the market. There is case that happen this. It's not so far away. The new generation is all digital. You can even agree or not agree, but the language is there. The people, they meet by chat. So this is they are able to know this language. Like nobody speak different languages. This is a new language how to communicate. And then the same things, David, they start to be in the sustainability. I will tell you after all one that we are go ahead what does mean practically.
You're doing my job for me, Francesco, because that's perfect. My next question was going to be, we've talked about this next generation of customers. You've said that you believe they will buy based on more than just price. They'll buy based on values. What do you see changing in buyer behavior?
There is an analysis that they have done Morgan Stanley in 2025 for how is the reasons that the customer they are buying things worldwide. This is a worldwide research. This research, they have declared that for a sample that they investigated, they come all the Z generation, is million people, Z generation cross worldwide, east, west, north, south, independent for the culture, religion, the Z generation, they will 97%, they will strongly buy a product if they recognize in the product, on the offer, or in the brand, really value of sustainability, environmental, social, and good governance. So if they perceive that offer, they undertaking these three values on the practice that they can see in the company, they will select this product. The millenniums, they will have the same strongly interesting on, remember 75%. The X generation, me, they will take the consideration for 45%. And the baby boomer, they will take 27%. So that is the old generation that not pass through. They are not pass through. They are going behind on the selection that they will not decide anymore to buy things. That X or millennium, they will be the new generation. They will take place of the new buyers or the new people. They will be deciding for the furniture. They will decide how to manage the company. So taking this research, taking only one research everywhere, they are considered that a young girl or a young guy that is located in Colombia, the same located in UK, or the same located in Africa, they will all perceive this value on sustainability. The sustainability, David, is not only environmental issue. It's not only the nice weather or how to act, because the sustainability is even social. How to do things in a social way in the company as a good act is important in the way sustainability. So have a company with a good governance in terms of cybersecurity or whatever. So this value or this action, they perceive the customer as good value or sustainability, and they can buy a higher price on this product because they recognize this. Instead of another company, they don't have it all. You can see the advertising of the big company is not anymore buy this car or this product with the price. How we are healthy in the market, how we are good in the market, helping people, they are trying to overdone this. The problem is they don't create a greenwashing, but this is another subject.
Yeah, that is. I think there's a number of interesting points you made there. And I think the fact that this is a global phenomenon is an important one. I think there's sometimes in the West, we perhaps think we're a bit special and this is the way we think, but the rest of the world is a bit behind. It's not the case. Like I remember I was shocked when I told you before we started recording, we have an office in India, and I went there. That younger generation expect the same things as young people do in the US or in Europe. They expect to be treated with respect. They expect companies to have certain values. That's the same in India, Singapore, Australia, wherever you want to go. This is a global phenomenon. It's because we're all so connected, right? Which is great. And people will, this generation will pay more for that privilege. I mean, even just me yesterday in the supermarket, I'm buying eggs.
But you are going to see how the eggs come from.
Correct. I paid double because I wanted chickens that were not caged, and not just not caged because I can see, like, people can see through that as well. They need to be free range.
And this is the reality. You know, David, at that time I'm astonished how the companies, they are not seeing this, or they are undervaluate this good act. Because nevertheless, you know, when you see around, there is the Agenda 2030, the sustainability goals, the ONU, they declare that all the entrepreneurs, they see like political discussion, they see so far away for the good practice in the company. They just try to see that the generation 2030, that's I was telling to you before, the actual 14, 15 people, and you, that you're millennium 35, you is buying concretely things through this sustainability activity, whatever you're buying. So, and nevertheless, these things is just to implement good practice in the company. It's not something you have to invest million euro in order to completely change your industrial company or your business model. It's example, for example, one of the 17 goals, David, is that everybody's scared, is to reduce the hunger in the world, or is so it's just in the company, for example, restaurant, when they finish the day, the rest of the food is not thrown away, but or is recycled to have a good impact on the environmental. Or if it's good, you can give for the kitchen for poor, that maybe they can eat something more and not, not have hungry. That is the goals, reduce hungry. So it's not something that we have to make a strategic engineer action. It's exactly simple things to practice to go better in your company. And these people, when you can measure and you can talk about, they are recognized.
This is a very tough question. So I apologize.
I hope I can answer you.
What do you think has driven this change in sort of buyer behavior?
What is the thing? It is a mature culture, David. It's a mature culture. It seems strange, but for the first time, as entrepreneur or as that is a good team person, it's impossible to go ahead as profit if the culture you are not put again in your way. This is the matter of attitude and culture. So it's very important that all the system, education system, all the system from the primary school until the university, they start to diffuse in them the business model on the study, the good act to change, to go ahead. Today, who is not doing this, David? I will give an example. I try to give an example. It's like to have a sporty car that you are driving with the highlights off during the day. We are today. On the certain moment, will come the night. If you are still have the highlights off on the sporty car, the result is it will be a huge crash. So you have to educate yourself to open the lights and to change completely. So the drive is culture, study, and to try to handle young people in the company as person to taking, and to try them to give more autonomy, to drive this new change for them language, and to listen them and to measure. You have to measure the single act that you are doing as sustainability. Otherwise, this double generation that they are not combined together, they start to have this not talking, and a lot of companies are already existing. They are not anymore big profit in the market. Although you make a good deal, it's not anymore good enough. I don't know if I answered your very difficult question, but it's a matter of culture.
Thank you for trying. You used a phrase before, which, again, like sustainability, is very, very common, ESG. This acronym has also become quite politicized, I think. Some people will hear that and be like, yes, ESG, ESG. And then others will be like, no, stay away, this is bad. Just talk to us practically. What does ESG mean to you from a business standpoint?
ESG ESG, take in consideration that you are right. A lot of people, they even don't know the acronym, what does mean ESG. ESG is example, A like environmental, S like social, a G like good governance. They take expiring from the big, vision for the 17 goals of the ONU that they give, like I was telling before, how the people will be in 2030. In my company, I implement this A, S, G. I implement, practically speaking, I not create, production. I cannot be very influenced in the environmental impact. But in my company, I just use, for example, to give a culture of my people how to waste recycle, very easily. Like, for example, in my workshop, the plastic, they can become t-shirt. So just make a culture, recycle waste recycle, just make a way. This is already something that I'm doing in terms of environmental. It's not acting directly on the immediate effect on the CO2 market, but is how to improve the culture in this direction and to go in better direction. So what I did, I did procedure, I did course, I made people, they participate in the courses, so I improve the culture on the environmental. Simple like that. For the social is how you are recognized that you are a company living in the community. So you cannot go ahead without to see the community around to you. So, okay, the profit, okay, the good deal, but you have to the community. That's why if you give a good opportunity, for example, I took in the company 5 guys with the sentiment down. It was very difficult to work. I just take the guy, put in the company, give a work, a job. A real job, not somebody stay in the corner, a real job. Member of a community of my company and of the leader of one department, they should be able to manage this guy out of him comfort zone. So this guy or this girl that was in the company, they start growing and they start to go ahead. This is a good practice that I put in the company. In the middle time, I was talking to everybody in the market that I'm doing this to give a help for somebody, to give a dignity, to be in the market, to be in a good job. And I try to, when I make advertising, to tell everybody, hey guys, look, we offer car, but you know who is working with me? Or this guy, we give them the opportunity to be a normal people. That is something of value because David, this SG is not member just to make profit, it's to be useful. That is the things important. And that's what I did in social. Governance, I just try to give the cyber. I'm trying to protect my company with the cyber security in order to avoid privacy or whatever. So I keep the customer to be quiet, giving to me data, and to try to sell something to you. So as you can see, it's simple things, David, that is not something that is so far away from practically. It's just a good practice. At the end of the day, David, it's some practice, civil, nice to do it, put in that situation, to measure it, and to try to talk to everybody that you are doing. That is not something negative. Talk about good things.
Mm. And you made what I think is a very important point, Francesco, about you said at the beginning of that answer when you were talking about the environmental part, we sell cars, we don't have a big manufacturing arm, therefore, how much can I really do? But this is the wrong mindset, right? There are millions and millions of small businesses out there. If everyone just does a little piece, the impact.
The sum, they create a good impact, correct. That is the but if you are not doing, they are doing others, the biggers, they will never change. So that's why who is very sensitive on this? The young people. The young guy that are very sensitive on this. The young guy, they are born by microchip under the skin, and they are also very sensitive on this. If you're just taking care to give competence to this person that we are doing, and after I will tell you, they will manage a new position of manager. It's not MBA, it's not CFO, it's ESG manager. That is not something to undervalue. It's that person that can really give this add value as competitive advantage, because ESG or sustainability, David, you will see in the future, and you are young, you will see when you are buying, that will be an advantage, the big advantage competitive issue, having or not having, on the same level of the price. You are higher or reduce the price, high demand, less or high offer. If you are make ICG and for activity, it's a really very practical advantage competitive with all the other people, all the other companies. But you have to do it.
Yeah. And so what would you say, Francesco, to a leader who views sustainability or ESG as a cost and not an advantage? What would you say to that person?
Or investment. Yes, you have to see that here they are either as entrepreneur as political people. You see today on they are trying to not go ahead with these practices, but today on, let's say that to be sustainability, everybody see as the initial high cost. I have to take a guy that is specialized in ESG. It's not useful today. I'm taking somebody to change the way to make, for example, investment for my employee to give a good welfare to them. It's not the case now. I will give him a salary. It's okay enough. All these things that today is seeing cost is the negative point of future. So from cost is an investment on the short and long terms. Like, and let me go back on my first question of digitalization, like I did when nobody asked me to digitalize all the company in 2014, but I did it as investment, not as cost. In 2020, during the pandemic, I was only company in Italy, and they come on newspaper, to make profit without ask money to the bank. So it's not a cost, it's investment on the vision of an entrepreneur, on the new market that is not so far away this happen. It's 2025. You, David, you are buying already with this mentality. If I have to sell to the eggs, how did I would do like that? Otherwise, you are not buying my eggs.
Yeah.
You go the other 1,000 people.
Exactly. And that point's key, right? That we're not guessing. Like these are facts. Like you talked about the Morgan Stanley research report before. Facts. The fact that baby boomers are becoming old.
It's already out.
And the next generations will come through.
Will come through. So the baby boomer is not. They will never more decide nothing. So they will be there. And the happening that all the other, the Z generation, the millenniums, they are start to be the protagonists onto 2030. And the question is, for all the activity, David, all, even professional activity, even advertising, even interview, even you can catch the customer if you are talking about real sustainability. You can catch everybody. Now that nobody's doing will be a huge advantage competitive you can use as company. Slowly, the market will be adapt all the market on this. There will be some company will be out. There will be new company coming out.
Yeah.
I will give an example. I was in a huge company, I will not tell you the name, that they ask, because with the other company consulting, they make sustainability, how to make a map of them supplier as sustainability. I have almost 500 suppliers that there is a kind of analysis how much my suppliers with which level of sustainability they have in ESG. They will catch one company that was making events, give modeling to make events. And that company, they asked for us, listen, they asked to me, this big company, how much I'm ESG oriented. Otherwise, I cannot give any more the service to them to make events. Because for them, it's priority analysis that them suppliers, they have to be in ESG compliance. A guy, 75 years old. Hey, what have to do, Francesco? I said, listen, you have to start to implement ESG, then you have to measure it, and then you can tell them you're doing, and then maybe you can go ahead. Now, you can imagine that this guy, they didn't measure it in terms ESG. And the company, they took a startup or young guys that they were doing the same job that was doing the other guy with less experience, but with this approach. But they took over the guy at the B with this company, the new company making events for them. Just because it was ESG compliance or not. Just I give an example. So there will be good advantage for the startupper that they can be in the market with this mentality and they can take over the business for the people that years they are working on the same way and they will completely throw away, not by price, David, by sustainability. These words that everybody say, but have to be practically implemented. It's clear.
Yeah. and tell us, you mentioned a few areas, you mentioned a few points on this, but just tell us about the performance improvements that you saw within your business firsthand after you implemented.
You're right. Good question. Because when I'm talking about these things, everybody say, okay, it's nice. But what you did in the company, correct? Okay. Making ESG, to measure the ESG is just a matter of process. It's not something that like a big deal. Buying, selling is done. It's a process of a couple of years or 3 years, let's say. When I'm starting to make these good practices on ESG, I'm starting to have these 3 important things. First of all, I reduced the cost efficiency for the person. The person was working happily, they was working more quickly, more production in the company. There was good activity for my human capital. First of all, that automatically they crave less cost, high production of what I was doing in this situation. Middle time, I'm starting to search new furniture as alternative energy or alternative activity. They give me in long term a huge saving in terms of cost. Second, taking social activity into this moment, immediately they didn't have any advantage, but the people, they let me buy my goods instead of the others. Then it was measured. You know what? When I make advertising, I make a lead generation. Lead generation is how many leads or contact I receive in 1 day or 1 month. When I change the business model, making social activity, when I took the guys, I try to make good things with the people, I'm trying to have good activity in the governance activity, immediately I increase the requests by social by 25% year by year on me. Not by price, by the comments that are doing. We are buying you because you are doing this, you are doing that, you are doing that. That was coming more turnover. That is coming more profit. So the effect after 2 years, they give me an increasing turnover of 45%, an increasing EBITDA, so on profit over, let's say, 13%, correct, I just did exactly, and the cost reduction in terms of efficiency more than 20%, without change product and without change price. On the market, very difficult, because you have to take in consideration that we are living in the market, pandemic, Microsoft, war. So this is a market very stable, so generally speaking. So on that market, with the perception the customer is favored, I'm afraid to buy because I don't know what's happening tomorrow. I'm trying to increase turnover and profit. So it means that it could be even double the effect if it was a normal market.
Yeah, that's the proof.
It's a proof. That's why people, when I'm talking as entrepreneur before and after consulting, because I did in my company with 200 people employed with a turnover of 500 million euro, that I did it by doing not pricing or change product, by digitalization and sustainability in my business model.
Yeah. And I think that's why, I mean, this already is kind of a wave that is impacting the way that entrepreneurs think and the way that businesses run. This is the genie is out of the bottle. It's starting to happen. And I think one of the reasons that's the case is because, like you said, again, let's use the chicken and eggs example because it's very, very easy. If you're a egg producer, the right thing to do is not to cage these animals and give them a horrible quality. It's clearly not the right thing to do. So that in itself should be enough of a reason to change things. But if that's not enough of a reason for you, then have a look at your revenue and profit.
Because David, other 1,000 David, they will accept to buy higher price because recognize what we are doing good. So these costs was not a cost, an investment to change business model. Then in in 1 year, may they recognize the David customer to buy on higher price the eggs. David, that would be for wherever cross business ever in the world. Even the political is like that. You can imagine that the Z generation 2030, they will elect a political guy if they are talking about sustainability, not only for tax reduction, for example.
Completely. And it goes back to the point you and I both made earlier about small impacts adding up. So we talked about businesses and entrepreneurs, but also on the consumer side, consumers can drive real positive change through the decisions they make, such as which groceries they buy. It all adds up and it makes a huge impact.
Ma guarda, Mark, David, for us as entrepreneur, what is the judge of our life is the customer, the consumers. Despite the law, despite the regulation, despite whatever, what is command is the consumers. So if the consumers went this direction, you cannot think that it's not happen. You cannot hide that it would never happen. It's like that. It's in front of everybody. If you listen in people of 14 or 15 years, just listening them, you can recognize it like that.
Earlier, Francesco, you referenced the UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals. How can companies use these as a framework for decision making going forward?
The 70, first of all, the 70 goals is something that nobody knows. Let's start from the beginning. So if you see these 70 words, except the color, but nobody, so I understand what that means. If you read carefully the 17 points, and you read deeply the 17 points, it's normal act of the life. No poverty is not to change the life of people, for example, in South Africa, and help people only in South Africa. Poverty is a small act to reduce the people that can have more money. For example, a good, simple statement on your company of salarium, of how much pay you people. So this is simply strange to you from no poverty to the people, employee, to pay better should be. Because they reduce systematically the capability to have less money and less consumer and less to live correctly. So if you are going to read equity of gender, if you want to talk about woman or man, you talk about person. The person is able to do this or not, despite this woman or man. And both have to be the same way meritocracy to growing, not for the gender, by the capability. So if you read carefully all the things, like for example, also the quality of education. Education, it means to act in your company, like I was telling before, the good idea how is the waste recycle or how is to act activity is education, quality in company. I mean, if you see these big words, on the end of the day, is a small action easily that you can act in your company. It's important to measure it because the framework, international framework, like GRI, SASB, that they are trying to give a guide how to do it, it's important, it's legal base, you have to follow it, and then you have to measure also. Because, you know, as entrepreneur, one, you have a strategy, you have to implement, but then you have to measure. And when you measure, you are credible. If you are not measured, you are credible. That's more or less. So these 17 points is just good attitude what to do. And then it's important to go to measure it. I don't know if you answered your question, correct, David?
Yeah, and people, these goals are very easy to find, right? You go to Google, you put in UN's Sustainability Development Goals, and you can see that it gives you a very good framework to understand ESG and to think about it. And you mentioned a phrase earlier, Francesco, which was greenwashing. How do we help companies avoid greenwashing so that they're actually embedding sustainability meaningfully?
Good question, David. You have a lot of good questions, brother.
Thank you. I've done this before.
As I was telling before, the Z generation and the millenniums, they are very careful of sustainability buying, but they are all very sensitive of the greenwashing activity. I mean, you will buy the eggs if concretely you see that the eggs is done correctly way. If you are going to discover that this eggs is not correct, it would be even a very negative effects to the company, even worse that they are doing or not. So when you are doing sustainability for the 17 points, it's important to, as we're telling you, to have a measure analysis concretely with independent company that they give you a measure, taking consideration the international framework existing in order to give the guidelines. You have to follow these guidelines in order to give you a concrete action, a concrete measure to put in your website open to everybody, to communicate to everybody that if you are buying the X, you can immediately go on the website and say, let me see if really this guy is doing this. And to read what he's doing with international big legal site that will tell you yes or not, plus what you are doing. That is how to avoid the greenwashing. David, it means hard work. Because to double the price, you have to give value to double the price. You mean hard work, working, and to measure always, and to know one thing you measure, to diffuse to everybody how they're doing. Because one of the framework, the ESMA, that is International Association for to Guarantee Investor, they say one day to make sustainability, you are obliged digital way to communicate to everybody. Today, a big investor, they come in the company if they know that you are making sustainability. Otherwise, they are not coming to invest. So, to do the greenwashing, it's measuring and to talk about it. But what is important, David, there is a lack of companies that are measuring seriously this ESG activity. There are somebody that are doing just like it. Yes, let's measure, but let's see what's happened. And they happen a lot of big companies. I will tell you the name. After a couple of years, they have a huge negative effect by court because they will say something not true. So it was not good for the customer. And other that they are doing, but it took time to change the company to measure everything. So greenwashing is a really serious thing that is happening. But you are serious and you are working serious and you are doing, there will be double effect. So you buy the eggs, double time price. Yeah. Always, not once.
Yeah, completely. And tell us about the system that you have now built. That basically, as I understand it, it gives businesses a rating across the key sustainability areas. How does this work?
Once that I saw that in my company working, I decided to have a consulting company, international consulting company, that was specialized on measure it and to develop for in the market this good activity of sustainability. So, because when an entrepreneur talk to the other entrepreneur, it's more credible than when a consulting talk to the entrepreneur. Because I did in my company, so I have results practically that happen in the market very difficult. So I create this consulting company, and I start to create a double action. One is consulting how to drive the company to improve to go in this direction, and another company how to measure the results. So these two companies. One is, his name is ESG Impact. It means I will come to you, I will check what you are doing without nothing. I will give you a first analysis, taking international legal base framework. I will see how you are from 0 to 100, 20, 25, 30, 35, according ESG, according to the vertical environmental, the vertical social, and the vertical governance, with the same weight. I mean, 33% EA, 33% S, and 33% governance, because they are all equal important. Not environment and social down, all equal important. And we are measuring it. When we are measuring it, we say, listen, David, you have to improve in this area, not investing hell of money, with normal small things practical to doing. But on the middle time, I discovered that there are a lot of entrepreneurs say, okay, I'm completely not in compliance, let's improve. The second question is, who is doing in the company? And we a huge problem. That's why I decide one thing, David, with a lot of cost, by the way, but I believe that in the longer term is coming out, to invest for university. I decide to finance huge master for people graduated. I did in Turin, I did in Naples, I did in Milan, I did in Rome. Now we go to Sicily. I mean, I talked to the university. I said, this guy, we have to give a new manager in the market able to manage this issue. There was not easy in the beginning, David, even in the university, because they didn't realize, even in the university, there was a new trend or a new master equally important like the MBA, even better today, important. They always underestimate the sustainability. Good words, but not practice. So that's why I invest these things that we had In 3 years, over 200 people graduated by this master in ESG, the specialist as impact activity. And all these 200 young girl, young guy, they hired for the big company as manager ESG immediately, I believe in a couple of months after the graduation. So it means that there was a request. I'm doing this in Italy, and now in 2026, I will go in all Europe, and then I go to America. I go everywhere to present this program, University Success, already in Italy, for the other university worldwide, to create one big community of culture that are able to create good manager, but even they're able, by university, to create influencer positive in the market indirectly, not by master, by convention, by new teacher, to talk about this new culture of sustainability. Mm. That's a huge investment, but I hope it's coming back one day. But
let's just when you told me about this when we first spoke, I was really amazed by the commitment that you have and the generosity to actually fund this type of initiative. So you looked around at the major universities in Italy, and you couldn't see a degree that was teaching young people how to implement these ESG policies within businesses. So you took the initiative yourself, to help build this, and then very importantly fund it so that people could go through and do these courses. And over 200 students have now graduated.
Yeah,
is that right?
Graduate, correct. 200 graduate manager already employed in the company.
Yeah,
doing this.
Yeah, and these are not employed in your companies. These are out there.
Of course,
making...
I took. Of course, I took over 32 guys. Guys in the company, very good skills. That's why I'm very powerful with the company.
Yeah,
because they are guiding me how to move. Not I'm moving them. They are driving me how to move in that direction, the other direction, how to do it.
And this is another point, right? Like people could easily look at what you did there as a cost, and yes, there was, I can see on your face, there was some substantial outlay. However, you're wanting to build business and help other companies build business for the future. You've now got these young people who are fully trained in these areas and are the people who are going to be buying in the future. And you've now got this incredible resource that you invested in and built. And this is going to help you and the companies you work with in the future.
To make profit. Helping company to go better. So it's completely something that is not usually a logical way. Because David, in this moment with these 17 goals, for the first time, everything that is not profit became useful for who's make profit. And who is make profit, they have to invest in no profit in order to improve. Not good. So that means that all the cycle of the system is growing. It's going better way to work in this direction. Everybody told me, why, Francesco, to invest a lot of money? The master, I even don't want to tell you how much cost. One master in one university. And why are you doing this? Are you crazy? David, sometimes you are moved from good propose. Maybe not now. But in the future, when now in Italy, wherever in Europe or wherever, when they go in another market, maybe they will recognize me consulting, not only for what I'm offering guy in the company, because I did culture before. And I believe that later they will come back strongly to me.
Clearly. I think, again, it's very inspiring for other entrepreneurs, business leaders. The world is going to change very fast. And
already changed,
continues to change. The education system is not changing at the same rate.
No.
Companies know what they're going to need in the future. They know universities don't. So taking that initiative to help upskill and educate young people in the skills they're actually going to need is a huge thing that businesses can be doing. And when we talk about contributing to society, what better way than supporting and training up young people to be able to thrive.
You get the point, David, but because you are young.
Yeah. Yes, but I've also spoken to executives on this very podcast who we very briefly touched on AI at the beginning of this conversation, but executives who know very deeply about that space are very concerned that a lot of jobs are going to disappear for young people. What do we do about that as leaders? Do we just wait for it to happen, or do we be proactive?
To be proactive.
Yeah.
People have to be proactive to do it, because the offer of new education is, in this moment, for education, I mean young people, there is a gap from high demand on young people to looking forward to go in this direction, a low offer education, how to implement. Young people, they don't know where to start and where to go. I mean, I can have sensitive on the environmental, I can be very sensitive on social, but, and that is very important, the actual offer worldwide is just specialized in environmental. There is huge master of environmental, huge master of AI, good master on how to cleaning the water, everything is environmental. There is no education system that will take over all the three elements, environmental, social, and governance, to put together and to try to develop as much possible. There is a lack of this offer, very strong lack of a good request. I will tell you something for the financial issue. Maybe it was something that you were telling to me, but I will tell you in advance. In Europe, the BCA, the European Bank, they give a very strong direction for all the banks in Europe, saying, guys, if you have to financially new company or actual company, you have to start to tell them how they are ESG compliant. Otherwise, the cost of the money, they should be higher. Otherwise, the risk of default will be higher on your bank. That is saying not me, is saying the bank that is not so no profit oriented companies. So it gives a strongly guideline to the company. Now in Europe and companies that they need money, they give the balance sheet, they give a business plan, and they must to give the compliance report, measure it as ESG with a plan what we are doing. After all, they will distraction. I mean, the analysis that they are doing, if you have or not the credit, it depends on this issue, even on this issue.
Yeah.
This is a reality already existing, David.
Correct. And I guess there's two ways of approaching that reality. One is viewing it as, I guess, bureaucracy or red tape. Oh, the bank needs this plan, so let's just do it so we can give it to them and move on. Or we view it as the huge opportunity that it is, right?
Of course. Now, in this moment, there is a huge opportunity for the company to be in the markets. I will give you another example. Listen, a little bit extreme. Let me this extreme, legal extreme. There is an increasing of tax import now from USA, for example. No? And so they limit export wine from Italy, more or less. I talked to this production wine, say, yes, maybe it could be a higher cost, maybe. We are talking about a wine, nice wine, that the consumer, they still request. And maybe they can limit it the buy because it's more higher, more expensive. Not, I say, it's a wrong approach. You can imagine that the consumer in USA, maybe they can still want to take the wine from Italy, but if you put together on the price or your heritage or your history or your quality, you put also the value, how much you are sustainable on this wine, showing how you are doing, showing which way you are doing, maybe the consumer in USA, they will overcome that is more expensive. We can recognize this gap or high price as sustainability. I don't know if I try to explain to you the situation. So if you put sustainability inside, we'll be not anymore afraid higher price. And you never overcome the problem, but you have to be proactive. You don't have to be a guy that, okay, I'm good, a good wine, a good brand, a good heritage, a good taste. I want to show how I'm doing. So there will be the price always higher to buy.
Yeah.
Like the eggs.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think it's interesting. There's often pros and cons to things. And obviously I'm a European, but I'm living in the States. One area that's interesting about Europe is it has been, and the European Union in particular, they've been very proactive, like we said, with the financial system in terms of bringing in these ESG elements. European companies have been working in this kind of regulatory environment longer and more deeply than anywhere else in the world. So without knowing it, a lot of these European companies have already built up this advantage over perhaps companies in the US or in other places. Like you said, it's just a case of understanding how to further build on that as an advantage and present it as the advantage that it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. European, there is two things happen in European law point of view and practice point of view. The European law, there is omnibus law. Once that they implement this new regulation, they start to postpone the compulsory report non-financial to the company. Before it was in 2025. After they say, listen, you have to do a report, non-financial report in 2028. They postpone. They postpone because maybe the company was not ready to do it. But even if they postpone this law obligatory to make the report a non-financial report, in the middle time, the company, they already started to change completely quickly what they are doing, because the financial department, they ask, if you are not doing, I don't give you money, first of all. Second, they see that the consumer are not buying anymore if they make in competition for the others. So all, except the law, all the effect that is in background is moving the entrepreneur and the companies very fast to change in this direction. And maybe this will be a huge advantage competition in continental worldwide, that the others still, they are thinking what to do or not to do. It maybe is doing or not doing, let's say. So it could be longest distance, a big advantage for the worldwide consumers. That's what I believe.
Francesco, what's your vision for the impact you want to be having over the next 3 to 5 years? What's your goal?
My vision, due to the fact that I strongly believe in this future generation 2013, although a lot of people, David, when even you talk about this issue, we see there is a lot of people, come on, it will never happen. Yes, entrepreneurs, and yes, this is something theoretically. Yes, you will be a lot of resistance in the market for people 50, 52, 55, 6 years old. They will all say, come on, you're stupid, you buy the X double. Well, forget it. Then we started to touch you like stupid. But in the middle time, I strongly believe, and that yesterday just had a conversation with a very big influence woman in Italy, and we had this different approach. Say, yeah, but something maybe. I say, well, you cannot avoid this. You cannot avoid. Talk with the people, talk to everybody. But I believe that it will be a kind trade-off, a new pandemic social activity in 2013. Let's say strongly, look at that, but like happened with the digital in 2020, 2021, with the pandemic, that was something extraordinarily happened, and who was not digital prepared was failed out of the market. The same things, not so strongly, that will happen in 2013 on, when the new generation, they start to take over the decision maker, and will be complete in that moment who is able to satisfy this person or not, will be cut off or not in the market. My opinion is to try, as consulting, as culture as consulting, to help and to guide as much companies possible with this approach. Not very easy, because the mindset is not easy to change and to see in different way through the single experience of the people. But my idea is in the next 4 years, when it will be happen all over the world, the cultural approach and with university, I've been immediately trying to guide as much companies possible in this direction. That is not only for profit of my company, but also because I strongly believe that the people need a strong help to try to move on this direction. And this strong help, unfortunately, is a lot of work, because when you go into the company, talk with the owner of the company or the head of the company, they also see these things according to the personal sensibility also far away, or yes, let's do it. Because there's also company that they're already doing, but they know they're doing. They just measure as things. So that's what I do, that my company will be growing in this direction. My model business is the following. I'm taking the university, I finance the master. It takes 1 year to make a master. The middle time I go inside in this sector, in this territory with the university, to develop the companies, this culture, and then to consult them to improve cost, energy. But I believe in this time is something that we must to do it. Otherwise, there would not any return at all. At the startup of young guy, there will be the new company with this mentality very successful.
Very, very exciting, very purposeful. It's going to require lots of energy. But
very challenging.
Challenging, but you seem to have, I feel like you're someone who really enjoys what they do, and therefore, doing more of it is a blessing, not a curse.
I hope it's happened. I tried to give a project 2 days ago to some people. I was take us crazy, but we see how to solve the woman violence. I try to make a special action. Look how I'm crazy, how it's simple, something very simple like it. I took somebody that was making training how to defend the woman in 6 days, 6 course of 1 hour each. And this after this course, there will be 50 women able to escape the strongly men that will take over them during the night or whatever. It's a simple thing. It costs 7,000 euro or dollars to finance this project based on 6 days. Then 50 women, we can save the life for 2 minutes from the person. This project is a simple project and is under the 70 goals. Because if MDX project is highlights from these 17 goals, 8 goals immediately. I can prove, I can implement in the company, I can give an opportunity to this woman to save the life in 2 days. But in the middle time, I give a good value of my company, then I'm doing this. You know how simple it is, David?
It's very simple. How do you, I mean, there's 17 goals. There's so many things to do. How do you, as one person, even though you have a good amount of resources because you've been very successful, you don't have unlimited resources.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. Maybe
one day. But when I will be baby boomer, me too.
How do you choose? How do you choose what to invest in when there's so many different sort of challenges out there? How do you make that?
I mean, I choose in the companies or in the company that I visit or in my company?
Again, both. So for example, the example you just gave us in terms of funding the self-defense classes for women, why did you choose to do that as opposed to perhaps something else? How do you prioritize? It's so difficult when there's so much, and it can feel very overwhelming.
That is the add value of our company, David. What I'm trying to teach for the people that are coming and join my company is always to traveling, listen people, try to perceive the simple things happen, how to solve, and try to make the complex things in simple, easy things. This is a mind training that I'm always doing to everybody, because by myself, I always coming up my idea how to go into company and say, listen, how to do this? Listen, try to do this thing simple, but it's come natural to me. I try to help all my staff that now we are over at 100 company, always never fly high. You always try to perceive and take all the inspiration that the market, the simple things is giving to us, and always immediately make a solution simple, achievable, that they can measure in order to give both impact on the community and advantage on the company. It's a huge activity that every day I'm doing, David, because everybody, sometimes they lose the real things. When You talk to me now for, again, the eggs. You are doing something that's natural to you. It's not something that you study. Okay, now I'm studying, I'm taking that, because something is inside your behavior. If I'm listening to you, I can take the behavior and put in the company. So because I'm listening to you. So sometimes people, they don't listen about nobody. They just by the ground that is correct what they are doing every day, every month, every morning, every night. But it's better always to always think differently. It's a good question, not easy to answer, but it's better also training every day to find easy solution on achievable to everybody.
Francesco, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you and learning from you. We've got a bit of a podcast tradition, so we ask each guest the same 2 questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, we've had some very different answers. It's been very interesting. The first question is, what's something that you've changed your mind about recently, and why?
Recently, I changed my mind recently. Recently, I changed the mind, for example, of how to don't take by the ground the people that I don't want to improve. So I'm trying with patience to don't go inside deeply, but try to help to move on this point of view differently on this direction. Before I was more stronger, I said, let's do or not. I had to change myself in order to improve. To this is I change how to see the changing, not by imposition, but by growing the people.
Mm.
Difficult.
Yeah. Difficult but important. And the final question, kind of the opposite to the one I just asked you. What's something that you've not changed your mind about and is a central belief that you want to share with others?
To be simple a human being. That is something that will never change in my life. I have born without father, David. So always I to fight how to increase. It's not a classic story, but it's like that. But always, whatever approach, whatever I'm doing, I'm starting from to be simple. I never showing up, I never showing off. It's not my way to do it, but simple. And this is my strongest approach to everybody, to be simple. Sometimes to be complex, nobody listen to you. To do simple, but I do by my nature to be like that. So that is, I will never change.
Yeah, fantastic. Francesco, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure.